All right, for Q&A with Ziegler Estate Law Group today, I'm so glad to be joined by Michelle Pata, who is our care navigator. As our care navigator, Michelle is part of our long-term care planning team. Care navigator is a position that we added in 2023 because we were doing a good job of the benefits planning, Medicaid veterans benefits, applying for those benefits for our clients, doing the related estate planning that needs to be coordinated when we have a care journey ahead of us. So when a client needs care now or is going to in the future because of dementia or some other chronic debilitating illness, they need updated estate planning. Many of them need benefits planning to help pay for care. But the piece that we were missing and that we were so glad to add was we needed someone with experience in helping to plan care, helping navigate the care system, helping families learn, okay, what is my loved one able to do? Are they safe at home? If not, could they be? With what type of care? How much care? If they're not safe at home anymore, how would I know that? If I'm just a family member, how will I know when they're not safe at home? And then what are our next steps? So Michelle has more than 20 years experience in all levels of long-term care in West Texas. She has experience in the nursing home setting, assisted living, home care, even hospital discharge planning. So she knows what this road looks like, and she can come alongside our families and help them make these care decisions. So welcome, Michelle. I'm so glad you've joined us. And a little secret that I know about Michelle is that she does not love being recorded. But see, I think she's going to be great at this. We're just going to learn together. So, but Michelle has a wealth of knowledge, and that's why I wanted to have her answer some of the most important questions we get from families about care. So the first one is, if my loved one needs long-term care, Medicare or their health insurance is going to pay for that, right?
Actually, no. Medicare and most health insurance do not cover long-term care. Long-term care is generally considered custodial care and not skilled care. So most times, no, it will not cover long-term care.
Okay. And so I think this is so confusing for people because they will hear that, Aunt so-and-so broke her hip and went to a nursing home and Medicare was paying for her for so many days in the nursing home. Tell us what that is and why that's not long-term care.
Well, after someone has a medical event and they go to a nursing home for rehab, they're there for the time that Medicare allows them to be there, depending on their diagnosis and also their participation in therapy. Once the staff and the therapist deem the person, discharging from Medicare services, then they go to private pay, and Medicare will no longer pay for their stay there if they choose to stay in the long-term care setting.
Okay. So Medicare will pay for a rehab stay.
Right.
For an undefined, we don't know for sure how long.
Up to, depending on the type of Medicare plan they have, traditional versus Advantage plans. But usually you have up to 100 days, but it's pretty rare to meet that 100-day
Really?
stay. Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I've seen the average length of stay 20 to 30 days, sometimes 60, sometimes, but
oh, wow.
Pretty rare, yeah.
So that's short.
Yeah, it's actually pretty short, yeah. Advantage plans, even shorter usually.
Wow. Okay. So at that point, if your loved one comes to a facility after a health event, they're sent to rehab, and by day 20, 25, 60, whatever it is, the staff says, they're no longer in a rehab stay. They're not rehabbing further. What are their options at that point?
Usually the staff at the nursing home will make recommendations based on what they've seen during their stay. So sometimes they'll recommend, home with home health, or maybe assisted living at this point, or even, a nursing home stay. So the staff and usually the social worker discharge planner will visit with the family about what the next step is, what financially they can afford, and then help them sometimes with those choices.
Help them make that decision.
Yeah.
So in the cases where someone comes close to the 100 days, like what would have to be going on, or what have you seen that would even make it go that far? Can you think of an instance where they even got, because a lot of people have in their mind, I have 100 days and then I've got to figure
Right.
out what to do, but it's not usually that long.
Right. It's not
So,
usually that long. It's usually things that you'll have more time is neuro type things, and
okay.
it has to be something pretty serious where it's going to take a lot longer. And, they can't go to assisted living or go home until they've met these goals.
Okay. Would that be like, when you say neuro things, would that be like a stroke or
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
type of
Something
event?
like that.
Okay. What is the difference between an assisted living facility and a nursing home? Great question.
So, the biggest difference is the level of medical services available. So, in a nursing home are designed to be a more clinical setting where they have therapy and 24-hour medical care. Assisted living, they don't have as many staff available, and it's just more of they take care of what they call your ADLs, your activities of daily living, like dressing, bathing, grooming. But the nursing home has more clinical staff if you have
Okay.
more medical needs.
Okay. And Medicaid will pay for care at home in certain
Mhm.
circumstances under the waiver program, I understand.
Right.
And also for the nursing home, if you have what is called medical necessity, and that's the big
Right.
target that we're trying to prove when someone needs care. Can you talk to us a little bit about medical necessity and misunderstandings about what constitutes medical necessity? Because Medicaid will not pay for long-term care if you don't have what they call medical necessity.
Right. And so medical necessity would mean that they need assistance with three or more what they call the ADLs: bathing, dressing, grooming, feeding, medication management, transferring. And also, if you're a diabetic, if you're on oxygen, if you need daily wound care, if you have IVs, things like that would make you meet medical necessity. So if you just
Okay.
you just needed help with your medications and meals, that's not going to help you. Even if you really, really feel like your loved ones, needs attention, that's not considered, 24-hour care medical necessity in a nursing home. It might
Right.
be
Okay.
assisted living type level, but not a nursing home.
So we're looking for things that it requires a licensed nurse to do. Is that a good way to think about it?
Exactly, exactly. So, in a if it's something a nurse's aide can help with, then typically that's not, considered nursing home care. Something like you said, a nurse has to be able to help you with.
Okay. And so diving in a little bit to the ADLs. So if I need help transferring, like out of bed to the chair or from the chair to the bathroom, say, and I need help with dressing and I need help with eating, feeding. So that would be 3 ADLs, but would that constitute medical necessity or no?
Sometimes, it would just kind of have to. They would just kind of have to see what other things are going on with that person. What other comorbidities they may have, and sometimes that can help qualify them.
Yeah, that one is a tricky one. And
It is.
it's one of the things that I feel like where you really shine helping our families figure this out, because what kind of care they need right now and what trajectory their need for care may take in the future is having that insight, having you come alongside them and help them figure out what they're likely going to need, what they need now, and what they may need in the future is so helpful, because those of us who, are just their loved one, we don't know. We don't know what this normally looks like. So we don't know how to plan. And figuring out, having someone who understands the level of care that's going to be available, could be available at home, but if not at home, if they can't be at home anymore, the level of care that could be available to them in assisted living or in the nursing home, it's just invaluable. So I just want to thank you for that. Okay, so question number 3,
Okay.
moving back into talking about facilities and communities. What is an aging in place facility?
An aging in place facility is a facility where the patient can remain in the facility when their needs progress. So, say they go to an assisted living, and at that time their assisted living criteria, they meet the assisted living criteria, and things start to change as if they might need nursing home care, but they can stay in that assisted living and they bring in additional help, sometimes hospice, sometimes, caregivers, home health, but they don't necessarily have to go to a nursing home. And it helps just ease the burden of trying to move to a different facility. So it's nice to be able to move there and stay there. And then as needs change, they can progress the care that you need there.
I'm thinking in particular with, that would be important for anybody, but a married couple, are there aging in place communities that are flexible enough that a married couple who maybe one has dementia and the other one doesn't, can stay together or at least be close by?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And even if one needs a higher level of care, they can be together and they can meet their needs in that same facility.
Yeah. That's a lot better outcome, I think, in most situations than having them separated completely. Okay. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Yeah, you're welcome.